It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
That's caught! Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score! He would not be denied!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Sponsored by Any Hour Services, Electrical, Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Kyle Ireland. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon, Cougar Nation, from Cincinnati, Ohio, site of BYU versus Cincinnati. Tonight, a game with huge Big 12 championship game implications. And in the case of BYU, college football playoff stakes are on the line. And we're breaking it down here today on Cougar Sports Saturday from the Queen City. Mitch Harper, Kyle Ireland with you over the next 4 hours. Typically, we hold it down for 3 hours here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Today, when you got a big game like this one, you got to do it big, and we're going 4 hours. We got a loaded show for you. You'll hear from Tausili Akana, Carson Ryan, also Brady Papinga, former BYU great, as well here on the program today. Kyle, it's a massive game for BYU, this 9-1 Cougar football team that was excellent last week against TCU. How are you feeling on this big game day for the Cougs?
Yeah, Mitch, good to talk with you. I know that you've probably indulged in some Grater's ice cream, some Skyline chili out there in the Queen City, but I'm back here holding it down at Broadcast House and, looking forward to this game tonight, Mitch, because, last night BYU's coming off an awesome win in basketball. They're going to be, having a big game tonight as the number 11 team in the country, but I think the most disheartening thing for this game, Mitch, was the fact that, BYU didn't have some good news as far as the college playoff outlook was concerned coming out on Tuesday night, with BYU only moving up a spot after a big win over TCU last week. BYU just isn't getting respect, Mitch. At the end of the day, that's the simplest way that I can put it, is BYU is not getting the respect that they deserve. The Big 12 as a conference isn't getting the respect that they deserve. Texas Tech obviously is, getting a little bit of love, but they're still outside of the top 4, and they're number 5 in this week's ranking, and they're coming off of a bye week last week after their big win over BYU. But I just thought that, even Brett Yormark, his statement that he put out earlier this week, there's just not a lot to it. I feel like BYU, the Big 12, they need to campaign a little bit harder. They need to get more respect for the teams that they have that are ranked this week. And some of it, I wonder how much are just, token rankings where they're just getting thrown in on the back end of the rankings just to get a little love for Texas Tech's resume, to be able to put them in a spot that makes some sense as far as the national conversation is concerned. But the SEC is getting way too much love. The Big Ten is getting way too much love. I'm just fascinated to see how these last 2 weeks of the regular season play out, because, Cougar fans a year ago, they can understand where things were after dropping 2 games back-to-back weeks last season. It made sense that BYU was ranked on the outside looking in. But this year, Mitch, 9-1, if BYU is able to finish out this regular season with only 1 loss, and it's at Texas Tech in a game where BYU showed pretty well defensively, but I just think that I just wish that there was more respect nationally for this conference and for what BYU has done so far this season.
And it begs the question, how should BYU campaign to reach the college football playoff? And I know the easy answer, just win. Just win and you're in. And yes, win these next 3 games, win tonight, win against UCF next week, win the Big 12 championship game. Easy, done, you're in. I'd like a little bit of margin of error, though, too, because I think BYU has put together a resume that says they belong in the playoff field. Currently sitting at number 11, BYU would be outside the playoff. So, again, how should BYU campaign to reach the college football playoff? Weigh in. You can text us 57500. You can get at us on X at Mitch_Harper, at Kyle Ireland. Share your thoughts. Again, 57500. Kalani Sitake, he's not one to typically campaign. This was Kalani when it comes to knowing what's going on in the college football playoff and being behind a handful of 2-loss teams.
No, when I say I don't really pay attention to it. I know it exists, guys. I'm not dumb. I know all the stuff that's out there. I know what people are saying in the metrics and analytics and the style points and all that stuff. My focus isn't on that. So I understand everything that's out there. I got to be focused on what we can control, which is playing football and the preparation today. That's what I got to focus on. So it's nice that we're in the mix and that people are recognizing what we do, but what does that matter if we don't go 1-0 this weekend? So my focus and what I'm trying to keep the team focused on is the stuff that we can control. I know one thing, we go out there and play at our best, and I like our chances. But until then, I'm not going to sit here and campaign and waste my energy on stuff that I can't control. I don't know all the other people's schedule. I can't speak as an expert on everything because I don't know what everybody's done and what everybody's played. All I know is in my view of what I'm controlling with this team and what we have on our schedule, especially this week, that if we take care of business and you to do things one step at a time, then things should work out in your favor. And that's what I'm banking on happening. And that's what I want these guys to be focused on. It's hard to talk about 3 weeks from now when you can't even control what you're doing right now with everybody else. Let's just go play the game, be at our best, and then see what happens next week.
I wish more people were like Kalani Sitake because when you speak about things that you get more details into and respect given to teams. And unfortunately, the College Football Playoff Committee, they don't respect BYU at all, and it feels like they haven't completely watched BYU. Now, I know that they do watch ball, and they dive into the data, and sometimes the committee is a bit of a straw man, but it's just frustrating when you hear from College Football Playoff Committee Chairman Hunter Yurachek when I asked him directly, point blank, why is BYU, what are the differentiators that put BYU behind two-loss teams such as Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Alabama? This was Yurachek.
I think it is really the way they looked in that game against Texas Tech. They were dominated on both sides of the ball in that game against Texas Tech. And then you look at their wins. They have a win over Utah, who's ranked 13th, but then their other wins are against that we would consider quality wins are against an unranked Iowa State team, Arizona, and East Carolina. And then you look at a two-loss Alabama team that's got wins against number 4 Georgia, number 14 Vanderbilt, number 21 Missouri, and number 20 Tennessee. Notre Dame's got a win over 15th ranked Southern Cal, and then last week a dominating win on the road at Pitt, who is ranked. And then Oklahoma has wins at number 18 Michigan, number 20 Tennessee, and at number 10 Alabama. So I think it's just the number of quality wins that are with those two-loss teams ahead of them, and then how they looked in that game 2 weeks ago in Texas Tech against Texas Tech.
Yeah, Mitch, I hear those comments, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see how this program is being viewed. The fact that these other teams in the SEC, the Big Ten, they're given the benefit of the doubt where the Big 12 and BYU is not. It feels like BYU's in the same spot they were in 2020 and last season, other years, where these teams that are on the outside looking in, it's an independent, it's a G5 kind of a mindset that's being placed on these programs where it really is the FBS level. It's like the SEC and the Big Ten are the have and the other ones are the have-nots. And I mean, even his comment that he had later on in that press conference where he talked about Oregon and their win over Penn State, and the fact that Penn State fell off the map after that game and Oregon still being given that as a quality win. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
It's frustrating, and it's also irritating because the preseason rankings, again, do factor into the thought process of how teams are viewed. Earlier in the playoff, the first ranking, Mack Rhodes, who's now no longer the AD at Baylor, and he's no longer the College Football Playoff Committee chairman, he referenced in one of these teleconferences, which is an old school format where you say, press *1 to ask a question. That's what I did this week with Hunter Yurachek. But Mack Rhodes referenced how Alabama had a 4-week stretch beating top 25 teams, and you think, well, rankings according to who? Not you guys, the College Football Playoff, because your rankings didn't exist in late September, early October, but you're referencing them because they play an impact on how you view these teams, and it almost feels like this committee puts out rankings that give the least blowback. People will say that don't watch BYU, they'll say, oh, yeah, Notre Dame's absolutely better than BYU. Oh, yeah, Oklahoma and Alabama, absolutely better than BYU. I think that's what's also challenging, too. What Juracek laid out is fine. Whatever. You can say BYU is just terrible based on one game. You want to view that? Fine. That's your opinion. But it's also just frustrating, too, when you know that those brands in front of BYU that have 2 losses, those brands hold a lot of weight, and they carry eyeballs for TV, and it just feels like, again, every single year, this playoff is truly just a beauty pageant to get the best TV viewership, and they'll go about any course of action to get that best possible TV rating viewership possible. And they never speak in absolutes to drill them down, and I think that's what's frustrating about the committee. There's no set guidelines and rules and paths to create this bracket. That's why, Kyle, we need to get to eventually a point in the sport where we're minimizing the committee and it's automatic bids. It's not ideal to say 4th place Big 12 team, 4th place SEC team is automatically in the playoff. But if you really want to prove who has the best conferences year after year, line them up, automatic bids for all 4 of the power leagues, equal bids, line them up in the playoff, and then let's play it out on the field, because this whole narrative and perception, it's frustrating. And Texter 9935 says, win the remaining games. That's sometimes not necessarily even enough, because it's frustrating that BYU has to go perfect to get it done. They have 1 loss against a top 5 team in Texas Tech, and they have to now win the Big 12 title to get in. Every other power league, you get margin for error. 1 loss is so challenging to only navigate a college football season with only 1 loss, with how much parity there is in the sport. It's a thing that's just fires people up. But BYU still, to its core, controls its destiny. But on the flip side, too, Kyle, if BYU beats Texas Tech, I guarantee you Texas Tech will get faded. They dropped Texas 7 spots, after losing to Georgia. You don't think I guarantee you they would drop Texas Tech 6 or 7 spots if they lost to BYU. So that's what's frustrating, too, is that the Big 12 probably is pigeonholed to being a 1-bid league. We got to get to a break. I'm fired up. This college football playoff committee gets me heated, man. I am fired up. You know what's also gets me excited, too? Good food. I love good food on a Saturday. And Emi Sushi and Ramen is excellent. We were there a couple weeks ago checking out the sushi and the ramen. I got the BYU roll, which is my personal favorite. Excellent dish. They take care of it. It's fresh, made to order there at Emi Sushi and Ramen in Provo near BYU's campus. It's an excellent spot to get some great weekend food.
Yeah, fire me up for some of these combo meals they have, Mitch. I had the Kung Pao chicken, and it was fantastic, but they also have a bunch of other options as well. If you're not feeling the ramen or sushi that day, you can get some Japanese or some Chinese dishes as well. They've got anything from General Tso's chicken, combo plates, Mongolian, beef, chicken, shrimp, you name it, they have it. Check them out. They are just down the road from the stadium. You can go to 366 North University Avenue and check out ME Sushi and Ramen.
And go check out Emi Sushi, because say hello to our guy Oscar, the sushi chef who's been studying sushi making for 10 years. He's the man. And just tell him, hey, KSL Cougar Sports Saturday sent us. He'll take care of you. Oscar, the sushi chef, is the man. And if you bring up KSL Cougar Sports Saturday, you can get 15% off. So hop in there today. They'll take care of you. 15% off your meal at Emi Sushi and Ramen.